Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilton, Eric Pessolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
All right, buddy, we're down to our last couple of episodes here of the season. This is number 39. I got one last week. I got the first pick today. I feel pretty good. I've already got the season locked down. But I'm playing for pride now. But I feel pretty good. I think today's going to be a good one.
Episode 39, you're correct. We have the right count, unlike last week where I was like, I didn't know where we were. Also, sorry to everybody for how long it took us to drop that episode and to get, look, Eric, we got stuff going on in our lives, and it's been a busy time with, everything going on, whether it be sports or what have you. But finally drafting the Magic back, hopefully on a regular basis. I'm not going to guarantee it. We'll see. But like you said, coming up towards this end of the second season, man, it's been a very long second season, Eric.
Yes, it got dragged out over a period of time, but it's all good. I like how in the last couple of weeks, the number of people who are like, hey, what's going on with you guys? So we keep them wanting more. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, I've had multiple people get mad at me. So
yeah.
Is what it is. We'll get there. We're going to put more things out.
Do you like, I like how you bring that up. It used to be, hey, when are you guys going to do a new episode? And now it's like, yo,
yeah,
when are you going to do a new one? Now it's turned into them being angry at us rather than just asking a question.
It's become very aggressive. I've had to go to therapy for it regardless. Today, Eric, back to the Disneyland Resort. We are kind of sticking around at the Disneyland Resort. Maybe not for the last episode of the season, but we haven't really decided that. Cards on the table. But we've been at Disneyland and we're sticking there. And this time we're going on more rides, Eric.
Yeah, we are. Oh, by the way, to piggyback off what you just said, if anybody's got any topic ideas, send them our way. I mean, we've got a bunch of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't decided what we're going to do yet. But if you have anything, let us know. Hit us up on social media, Instagram, on X as well, on Facebook. Let us know.
We do have other ideas, but some of them we've decided would be better if we had a visual aspect to this podcast. And we're getting there. We've already announced at some point we're going to do that, but now our brains are really rolling on what we can do. But for this episode, I think we can still just talk about it. We can refer to that really cool thing that happens on that attraction, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
This one's going to be interesting, though.
Yeah, we're talking our favorite individual attraction effects. I know that kind of narrows it down a little bit, but these are the individual things that you've seen on an attraction that either make you go, wow, how'd they do that? Or, wow, that's really cool. I'd never seen anything like that before. So it's going to be a fun list. And I here's an interesting thing about this. You and I could potentially draft an effect from the same attraction.
We could multiple. I mean, we didn't really lay out that rule that we can't. So, I mean, I've thought of at least 6 or 7 attractions where there are cool things that happen on it that, go towards the storytelling. And that's really what we love about Disney is the storytelling. And in these attractions, they do it very well. And they use a lot of your senses to get that done, whether it be something in your ear, maybe something up your nose. Maybe they just shake you and drop you 200 feet, whatever it might be. They do some pretty cool stuff with it. And I think the special effects teams deserve some love here on this one.
Yeah, and we're recording this episode on the day that the Imagineers dropped their new series on YouTube. And I'm sure you saw a couple of clips already if you haven't watched the episode already. But they're hard at work, and we might have to do this episode again in like 3 months just to because there might be so many new things coming.
There's been plenty of episodes that we could all of a sudden redo. I mean, look at our first episode, Eric, way back in 2020. current Disney California Adventure attractions. Well, boy, has that changed. And with some new concept art coming out this week, it's going to change again, maybe, if it happens at DCA, Avatar Land. We'll see. Regardless, there's just so much going on. And so, yeah, like you said, the Imagineering team they're always trying to drum up some kind of new effect. So this absolutely is an episode we could revisit multiple times because it's not like Tomorrowland. It keeps going forward.
Of all the places that's supposed to keep moving forward. What have they done to my boy?
Listen, all I'm saying is, they did announce this week in some LA Times letter that, there might be some clean energy coming towards Autopia. And I'll just always be the one that says, why bring in clean energy when you could just bulldoze the area? We'll talk a bit about that later on, I'm sure. But still.
Is that on your list? The gas smell as one of the effects?
Are the fumes an effect? Maybe. We'll have to see.
Oh, it's already going to be the EPA's least favorite episode of this show.
Get in line.
Already tell.
Well, Eric, today we're pretty excited to welcome Hannah Hood all the way from Washington State. You can find her on Instagram at Hannah Learning the Magic. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to do this.
Hey, we're excited to have you. Before we jump into this crazy draft of the effects of the Disneyland Resort attractions, tell us a little bit about you, your podcast, your love of Disney. How did that start? Give us the soapbox moment of Hannah Hood and her Disney love.
Okay, so super unique. I actually fell in love with the Disney theme parks in 2021, which was the first time I went to Disneyland and the first time I went to Walt Disney World. I went to Disneyland September 2021, went to Disney World October 2021, and I never looked back. So it caused me to start Learning the Magic podcast, which is really about me learning about all of the unique things and the tips and tricks of planning a Disney trip or just learning about the history. I love Walter Elias Disney history. So that's really where I love my fandom in Haunted Mansion's my favorite. So I know too much about all the different Haunted Mansion versions across the globe. But yeah, so I started the podcast because I was talking about it so much. My husband, I think, was super tired of hearing me talk about it. So I started doing Learning the Magic, and now I have my co-host, Elisa, who is Bashfully Ever After Co. on Instagram, and she is a local. So she's been going her whole life. And as someone that's only been going for about 2 years, we just have very different perspectives on the park and how to approach it and what we love about it so different. So we just have a really fun dynamic on the podcast to talk about just everything Disney and Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Both of our home parks are Disneyland, so we're much more focused there. And then I love Disney so much. I'm a travel agent. And so I now book for Disney travel for families. And on top of that, I'm also in the military. So I am someone that can't rest. I don't know how to not work and do things. So I'm busy at all hours of the day, and I love it.
Oh, in more ways than one, we thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
This is the greatest thing, Eric, because people can go to Hannah's podcast and learn the magic. And then once they've learned it, they can come to ours and draft the magic.
Exactly.
I think this is perfect.
Right. She can teach people about the magic. They can come over here. And now that they know, they can yell at us in the privacy of their own home, wherever they listen to this podcast. Now they know that we're making dumb picks. So yeah, no, it's great.
It's like we made our podcast to work together one day. It's perfect.
This is amazing. Well, Eric, today, like we mentioned, we are going into the effects of the Disneyland Resort attractions, and really everything's on the list as long as you've been on the ride. That's always our first rule. But our second rule, we got to divide this up a little bit. We got to give California Adventure some love, even though I'm always like, oh, that's my favorite theme park. It's nobody else's. I get it. It's just because I work there that I love it so much.
I love DCA. It's so good. Hannah.
Thank you.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's better than Disneyland. There, I said it. Anyway,
I wouldn't say that. I'm not on board all the way there.
Anyway,
she said, not so fast, my friend.
She's like, what are you, nuts? Eric, we have to go back and forth and use our senses, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to try to incorporate everything. Obviously, there's no ride you can taste, so we're not going to hit that sense. But for the most part,
legally, there is no taste.
Cannot
I bet
legally.
The Pirates water probably tastes like something.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. when we thought about that. So that brings us to our second disclaimer. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We do not endorse tasting
so
Pirates.
we're gonna try to hit sight. We're gonna try to hit sound, smells, and did I say touch yet? Touch is kind of a touch and go. To put up a very terrible pun. It's my one dad joke for the day. But in some ways to incorporate maybe your own motion. Who knows? But also, you got to go back and forth for your first 4 picks. So you got to go one park, and then your next round you have to go to the other park. So you got to go back and forth for the first 4 picks, and number 5 is a wild card. You can go to either park. That way you're not locked into having to select 3 from one.
When Erik and I decided these, Erik said, well, I have to completely redo my list. So,
yeah. So I made a list. And now that there's these extra rules, I'm like, oh, my list don't work.
Oh, man.
That's how we keep it interesting.
That's the chaos of this show, but let's do it. Drafting the Magic, episode 39, on the eve of our season finale in episode 40. Erik Pesolano, you have the first draft pick in the Drafting the Magic Disneyland Attractions effects. Let's do it.
All right. Disclaimer number 3, because the show's full of disclaimers now. Christian, you and I have been doing this for a while now, that we pick up on every little thing our judges say. And when she was describing things,
she said she likes Walt history. I know you're going there.
Well, she said that, but there was an attraction in there that she had mentioned that she knows all about from all around the world.
Your favorite.
But here's the thing though. I had already had it as number 1 on my list. So I did not change my list based on what she said. That's my disclaimer. But my number 1 effect, it is my all-time favorite, is the Pepper's Ghost effect at Haunted Mansion. So I'm taking that number 1, and you can go ahead and lock that in.
I think I could have locked that in 8 years ago before we knew we were doing this show, that you would do that because of your love for that attraction. Hannah, what do you think of that Pepper's Ghost effect where, it looks like there's ghosts actually at the floor and dancing and eating and swinging on top of chandeliers, everything in that big ballroom at the Haunted Mansion?
I don't know how to say what I want to say without giving away something.
Means she doesn't like it. I'll take it. No, I'm kidding.
It's good. It's a good one. That's not the first one that came to my head, but talking of effects, especially if you know how that effect works, it is pretty ingenious because it's a giant mirror that goes all the way down on that ballroom scene, and a lot of people don't realize that's how they're able to do it. So that it's one I didn't think about. So that's a good one.
You're catching the case judge off guard. I like it. My guess, and she can't give us anything, is she has a better effect at Haunted Mansion she's thinking about, and she can't say that out loud because then it tells us to go to Haunted Mansion. That's my guess. We'll see. I like it. I think it's a little overrated. I don't know. It's no offense, Erik. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. But I mean, it's cool. I get it's cool, but
it was so ahead of its time.
Cool. It's 2024 now. Let's move on.
Oh my God.
No, Erik, I think that was a great choice. Great choice. You did.
I know what else she's thinking about, and I can still pick it later.
You could take it, yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I now get to go to my first round, and of course, as I mentioned, my favorite theme park is Disney California Adventure. So I'm going to Disney California Adventure. And I'm going on opening day to Disney California Adventure. And even now, because during Food and Wine Festival, Soarin' Over California is back and running, and the scents that they spray at you. Hannah's already making a face that says this is a dumb pick, but this was something so cool and still is, especially when you get the orange groves or that that beautiful like I don't even know, the forest smell when you would go through. But now instead they just shoot a Febreze bottle at you or throw dirt in your face in Africa. It's just so dumb how they did that attraction. Regardless, I think the effect on Soarin' Over California or soaring around the world is pretty cool to give you that 4D almost experience on soaring where you really are in these places. Even if, they could have done like baguettes. Like the smell of fresh bread in Paris would have been better than taking me to a fake Taj Mahal and spraying me with a Febreze bottle. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, Eric, what do you think?
Wait, you're choosing this and you're crapping on it.
No, I'm just
this is Christian's MO.
No, I'm not crapping on the effect. I'm crapping on what they did with that attraction, because that attraction was premier and now it's okay.
So what you're saying is you prefer California over the world.
If anyone says they prefer the world, I don't trust them. I think they're lying to me. You do. No, you don't, Hannah. No, you don't. You like breaking your neck while you're trying to look at the Eiffel Tower?
Valid. That's a valid comment. But I don't know. Okay. I will say the first time I ever rode soaring over California, I don't think the smells were working. Also, I have really bad motion sickness, and the cast member told me, like, you can sit anywhere you want. Like, you don't have to wait for the B flight to go in the middle. Like, you're fine. No, you do. You still get sick on the sides. So I was very bitter. I had a very bad first experience with soaring, and I got sick, and I was like, you should just let me wait for the B flight, and I would have been fine.
Well, maybe the new patent that they just filed to build a new version of it will help.
Yeah.
That way you can go on that one and it won't be so bad.
I hope so.
Yeah. Didn't they call it a more aggressive soaring? I feel like that's not going to help her.
Yeah, but if it's smoother and everything looks better, trust me, that can help. There's for me, I get motion sickness on Star Tours when the original.
Oh, I do too.
The film was so blurry, and now the new one, it's better and it's not as bad. Do I still get sick? A little bit, not as much as it used to.
Yeah.
Disclaimer number 4, Christian, don't bash the judge.
That's good call.
Not
good
smart.
Call.
I have Soarin' on my list. I did have that on there. So well, it's on my backup list.
Well, clearly it wouldn't have helped you anyway. So she's not.
It was high up on my
here's
backup
the thing.
list.
I know, but that's amazing. I think every single time someone goes on that ride and they're sitting there and they don't realize smells are coming, that's a huge shock factor, and that's why people love the ride so much. That's an amazing one.
Yeah, shock factor is definitely the key when it comes to them throwing elephant dung at your face instead of the beautiful shores of California.
It's alfalfa. That's a beautiful smell.
It smells like dirt. It smells like dirt with elephants, and I don't like it. Anyway,
one of those two people, folks, by the way, worked for the company, and the other one did not. We're trying to figure out which one it was.
One of these worked that attraction when they changed it over, and is still bitter about it. Anyway.
Goodness. Okay.
Is it me? Am I riling you two up? Is it me?
No, this is normal. Don't worry.
No, this is normal.
But I'm
enjoying it.
Oh, that's so funny. I love this so much.
All right.
Sidebar. Okay. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Sidebar.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is something that happens a lot. You two, I listened to you guys for about 40 minutes to an hour during my half marathon run at Disney, at the Disneyland half marathon.
Oh, well, I guess that'll get your blood boiling. So that's
yeah. It helped a lot because I was so focused on being like argue. I can't even remember which one, but I was arguing in my head and I was like, I got to talk to these guys one day.
that, ladies and gentlemen, the only time I will ever appear at a half marathon.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm sorry, I won't hijack again.
No, we love sidebars. Sidebars are our favorite. So
that's our favorite.
The world go around. All right, round two. I got to jump over to DCA now, right? Because them's the rules.
Yeah, you do.
Them's the rules.
Yeah. All right. So, I think this effect is wildly underrated, and it's done very, very simply. But the first time I ever saw it, I looked up and went, "Oh, wow, that." It almost took my breath away a little bit, even though it's just so simple. I just didn't expect it. And you guys might laugh at me for this, but I enjoyed it that much, even though I'm not a huge fan of the ride itself. I'm taking Monsters Inc. in the door room with all the door. The first time I went in there, I was looking around like, oh, I know it's just a bunch of mirrors, but holy smokes, it was like, it took my breath away for a second. So that's going to be my DCA pick here in round 2.
That's good. I was trying to think of one that I could choose for Monsters Inc. and I didn't think of that, but that's a good one. I was thinking more sensory. We'll see if it gets taken at some point.
Yeah,
because when
I thought about it.
When I can smell food, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
But we won't get to that yet. But no, you're right. The mirror room is really cool, and it really does make you feel like, and especially as a kid, I can't imagine. I mean, I can because I was a kid when I went on the ride the first time, but now looking back at it, I don't think I ever took it in. I took it for granted, probably because I didn't appreciate it then. I appreciate it now. It's cool that they didn't have to do that. They could have put a couple of doors on the wall and been like, "Oh, look, you're in the room," and then they zoom you out. But they didn't. They put those mirrors. It makes it look deeper. And Hannah, what a great effect on Monsters Inc.
Yes, and that's actually one that I think every time I go in that room, I wish I could see it for the first time again. Like that's the room. The reason why I ride that ride is for that room.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I love the Monsters Inc. attraction. I'm so ready for it to go, but I love that attraction.
Yeah.
I do kind of think we could put something else over there, but that room, that's the only reason why I still like going on that ride is because of the door room.
Yeah, definitely not one of my favorite attractions. I think I bashed it a few episodes ago, and then I got some heat for that. But
people love it.
It's in my favor here today. So
especially if you think about rides that the little kids can only go on, especially at Disney California Adventure, that's one of the best. I mean, you got that Mermaid, Golden Zephyr, no, even Zephyr's got a height requirement. There's just certain things that are better when you have little kids. That boy, I'll tell you, I've been on Monsters more times in the last 2 years with my little one than I had previously, and you do appreciate that more. I think when you've got littles in your party, so it's a good attraction. And did it start off
when it doesn't break down?
Listen, we got a 2319. We got a 20. That's the greatest. By the way, if we ever have codes, like if we ever did Disney codes that guests are allowed to know about, because Eric and I know a lot that guests aren't allowed to know about. But if we ever had ones that they're allowed to know about, whenever Monsters goes down, they tell everybody that they're having a 2319, which is obviously a direct reference to the movie. And I love it. Anyway, Eric, did you have anything else on Monsters Inc.? I just went on a random tangent.
No, I'm good. I lost my train of thought. We can go ahead.
Well, we just talked for 2 hours about one of your picks, which means you're doing well. But for mine, I'm going to go over to Disneyland because I have to.
Because you have to, yeah.
I have to. And I'm going to go with probably my favorite effect at the resort, because you think you're moving, but it's really the room that is moving around you. When you will go on Indiana Jones Adventure, when you're in that boulder room, you're not going forward. The room around you is moving, and it makes you feel like Hannah had no clue. Her jaw just dropped. Yes. So we're going to have to post this part over on Learning the Magic as well.
I think we need to change the title of the show to Ruining the Magic.
Ruining the Magic.
Way to go
womp, there. Womp, get over it. If you're listening to our show, you've probably figured this out on YouTube by now. But regardless, it's really cool that the room around you moves. That ball barely moves. Your vehicle barely moves. And it's just the room around you that is on a track. It was one of Tony Baxter's best effects he ever did.
Freaking love Tony Baxter.
He's amazing. Eric, Hannah did not know this yet. So why don't you talk about this before we get Hannah's opinion on the mind-blowingness I just gave her?
High up on my list. Probably would have been my next pick. So well done by you. Yeah, it's another one of those moments where you first see it and you're like, what's going on here? Why are we backing up? Why are we backing up? No, you're not. You're actually not moving at all. You're stationary. So the way the whole thing works is quite mind-blowing. And like Christian said, if you haven't seen the way it works, you can probably look it up on YouTube. But nice pick, pal.
That's one of my favorites. Hannah, do you have questions?
I raised my hand. Okay. So this is the part like right before you like drop under the ball.
It is. So they
my brain's just not like firing on all cylinders, and I can't figure out how it works.
So next time you go on the attraction, and this is for
Yeah.
everybody, I think it is fun to try to discover the way attractions work. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's ruining the magic. I think you're just using the muscles that the Lord gave you in your neck to turn around and look and see what's going on. But if you turn around and look, you can actually see the walls moving. And it's this
So it's like moving towards you.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So, one of my favorite things at the resort, and apparently, we're still teaching people. I taught people things on that episode where we did the hidden gems. I taught our guest judge some things, and now I'm teaching Hannah some things here. So,
and this is the whole point of my podcast is there's something for people to learn about Disney, no matter how often you go. Or how long you've been going. There's always something to learn.
I'm not inviting us onto your podcast, but if you ever need somebody, Hannah, I mean, we just learned a little bit of Disney right now.
Yeah. No, perfect. Yes, I would love to have you two on the podcast. That'd be awesome.
Oh,
my favorite, my co-host Elisa, she's been going her whole life. And one time I was like, like how the trees are square in front of the castle. And she was like, wait, what do you mean? Excuse me? I said, Elisa, what? Have you never noticed? She's like, no, I didn't know the trees were square. It's just like there's things everyone misses all the time.
You take stuff for granted. It happens. Especially when, like Eric and I growing up in this area, there's plenty of things that we probably just bypass every single second. So regardless, let's move on to the third round.
Yeah, I got an air horn to start my pick. All right.
It's got to be good.
Yeah, this is another one that made my jaw drop the first time I saw it. I think I actually gasped out loud, like, whoa, like something like that, if my memory serves me correct. And this is an attraction that has so many different effects that could be drafted here today. I'm going to Rise of the Resistance, so that's not going to give away too much yet because there's so many things that could happen on there. But the very, very first time that hole was cut in the side of the holding cell to board the attraction, I had no idea. I did not see that coming, not even a little bit. And I was standing right next to it and I just kind of saw a shine over my shoulder and was like, what is happening? I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And since it was, early in the opening when the cast members still had their spark in their eye for the new attraction, when they would rush you into the vehicle, that just added to it. Like, we gotta go. But I mean, specifically the hole in the door to get you out of that holding cell. To this day, like, I'm always trying to find out which side of the room I need to stand on to be near it, so I can be like, look what it's gonna do. Look what it's gonna do. Like, trying not to ruin it for everybody. But that's my pick at number 3.
It's a good one. Also, like, the first time I got to a ride, let's be honest, I was a cast member at the time and maybe got to do some cool things at the time before the public did, and that was like oh man, people are gonna think this is insane, because there is no other loading area, especially at Disneyland, that comes as a surprise. Like, I guess now Mickey and Minnie's, because you blow through the screen and that's a surprise, or it's supposed to be, but no, this one is completely different. And so they did a very good job. And what a cool thing to add hype to, because they didn't need to. If you just got turned around a door or walked through a door and then the ride's there, that's still cool because it's a cool ride. So this is a good one. Hannah, what do you think of breaking through that door with the Rebellion, or is that what they're called now? What are they called now? The Resistance.
The Resistance.
Breaking
in the title.
Through. Yeah.
So this Rise of the Resistance in and of itself sets itself apart from all of the other attractions at Disney. Like, there's nothing like it where you can argue that the ride starts as soon as you get in that first holding cell, and it's an experience the whole way through, all the way through. This is just like Haunted Mansion, though, where it has so many effects, but this effect is probably one of the top 5, like top 3. It's amazing how they did that, because that's where you don't expect it. And it happens so many times where like I'm still surprised because unless you know the layout of where the ride vehicles are intimately, you don't know which wall it's going to happen on. And so it's still sometimes a surprise, and that's my favorite ride to take like first timers on. It's so awesome. That's because they think they're not on the ride yet, and every time you turn a corner there's something that's happening, and that ride just sets itself apart. It's so unique. It's so good.
I will say the first
That's a good
time I
one.
was on there and we were in the holding cell, I was disappointed because I was like, oh, is somebody just gonna like open the door we just came in through? Like there's nowhere to go.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And I was like, okay, whatever. And then it happened and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where you're like, and it actually looks like they're actually lasering through the door. It's super epic. It's an epic. There's no other ride that you start like that.
Nope.
That's good.
Well,
that's
and
a really good one.
And it's not even just the lasering, it's the decor of the whole room, right? To make that look like a natural, make that door look natural, you had to decorate the whole room like that. And so and there's even times where I still go on the ride, I'm like, which side are we going? Which one is it? Because it is on different sides depending on what kind of corner of the attraction you're in. But I'm just like, what, am I looking left or am I looking right? They both look like doors. So
yeah. And then also the material they had to use for that holding cell to make it so when Kylo Ren's interrogating you, to make it feel like you can actually feel the vibrations like throughout your whole body. We were just there a week ago and I was like, this is just so epic. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. This is just so cool. Yeah.
And then I get on the ride and I'm disappointed because it's not a roller coaster. Anyway, it's just I'm like the one person who goes on that ride. I'm like, wow, this could have been so much better.
Christian, are you the glass is half empty kind of guy?
You know, I don't know how people in my life would describe it. Yes, and yes, I am.
Yeah.
That was the understatement of the millennium. Is he a glass half empty kind of guy?
Am I glass half empty?
You're like, it's so cool, but it's not cool enough.
The glass is entirely empty with this guy, let me tell you.
Listen,
we need people like you, Christian. We need you.
Yeah, because then otherwise it doesn't sound as dumb. Like this show wouldn't have nearly as many people to scream at it if I just made clear and regular answers. No, I have to be dumb and complain about things, and then that gives more things to complain about for people.
You know what? He's a simple guy. Just get him some Starbucks and In-N-Out, and he's happy go lucky.
You're not wrong.
What a California man. There you go.
Listen.
We have to tell that story one day on this show.
We don't. It's not. Anyway. Get out of here.
Inside joke.
Inside joke.
Sorry, Hannah. That's unprofessional on my part.
Dumb. So dumb. So I get to go after this. I get to go back to California Adventure. So I'm going to take one that I didn't think I was going to take, but it does give you the opportunity to feel it. It does give you the opportunity to hear it, and unexpectedly, but if your mouth's open, you could possibly taste it. I'm going to go on the Incredicoaster.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as you said if your mouth was open, you might be able to taste it.
I'm going to go on the Incredicoaster, and I'm not going to where the cool effect of the smell of cookies is, because I already did the smell thing. But when California Screamin' was going, they had a pretty cool, launch area. But now that the Incredibles have taken over the launch, you've got Dash talking to you and counting down in 3, 2, 1, go. And then you hear him running. And if you're there at night, the lights are flashing and fountains are displaying to make it look like he's running. And I think it's one of the best parts of the upgrade that is the Incredicoaster. And yes, I called it an upgrade because while some people are like, oh, I miss Neil Patrick Harris counting down on California. Cool, who cares? This ride is so much cooler and so much more Disney than it already was. But I think this is a really understated effect compared to the lasers once you're inside the tunnel, or Elastigirl stretching out, or Mr. Incredible, fishing some cookies out to you. I think this is such an underrated effect that they installed, and I think it's a good one. So that's where I'm going, Eric.
There's just so many other better ones I think you could have went with.
All right, then.
Okay, The Incredibles is my favorite Pixar movie. All right, we know that. I do like that effect. It's really cool. Gosh, man, you had the world at your fingertips there. That's how I feel.
That's
how I feel.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see how Hannah thinks. Maybe Hannah's just dumbing down my pick and she actually really likes it. Let's hear it, Hannah.
I'm sorry. That's that is a really cool thing. My favorite part about it though is that they count down and then you still wait a second. You think you're gonna go at one and then you pause and then Dash says let's go and then you go. That's really awesome. I didn't have that on my radar because
right,
I didn't either.
It's the greatest. It's not the greatest. But
I will my transparency, I put together a list of 12, right? I try not to go more than 10 because if it's 10, I'm definitely going to get 5 of those.
Yeah.
I put 12 and I didn't even think about that one.
This just goes to my point that it is one of the underrated effects of that attraction. And I think that and I'm going to try to sell it even more here, that, you know, if you're a kid who's too short and can't go on the attraction yet, and your dad is selfish and is going on the ride anyway, and he makes you stand over there, hopefully with supervision, I think it's a cool little effect to watch the roller coaster. That's all. Anyway,
my question to you is, what kind of shovel do you like to use when you dig yourself a deeper hole? Is it a spade shovel or a square shovel? That's all.
Oh boy,
that's my only question.
Anyway.
Oh,
it's definitely a spade, by the way.
Erik, it can only go up from here. What's the next?
I know. Now I'm scared, right? That's how this works. It's like, okay, now I can't screw this up.
Christian screwed it up so hard.
I don't think I did. I disagree.
I don't know, Christian. You're not the judge. You're not the judge.
You're right. You're right. And that's the point of this show. And the fact that we just met you and have no clue what you like and don't like.
Yep.
I don't think this is that bad of a pick.
It is no Starbucks. It is no Starbucks.
Okay.
I will tell you that.
Starbucks was a valid pick. Moving on. What's your next pick?
Okay. I'm going to go. This one kind of incorporates sight, sound, and feel.
At DCA, right? You got to go DCA? Am I doing that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're correct. Never mind.
Scratch that.
Never mind. I'll take it last because you're not going to take it. So it's fine. I'm not worried about it. Oh, where do I want to go here?
We just messed them all up. Your own rules messed you up.
Good.
That's the idea.
Good.
See, I do this to myself.
Screw this up. Screw it up.
Could you imagine if all these drafts we just pick whatever we wanted at all times? It might be a lot more boring.
Yeah.
Not that this is boring. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't really have taste in my lineup here. Smell in my lineup here, which I guess could be a little bit of both.
Where can we go with the taste? Not a lot of places.
In DCA, nonetheless. So I think I'm gonna have to.
Hold on. I'm going to pause this.
Oh.
You're talking garbage on my pick, and then you're struggling to find one in DCA? I'm sorry. That makes me think that you didn't have anything in I'm just saying. Anyway, keep going. If my pick was that bad.
I had other ones that were smell related, but
I see.
You took one of them. I was going to take Soarin' later.
Sure.
Because I didn't think it was going to go as high as it did.
Fair enough.
And there's really only one other well, I guess Incredicoaster is one. Do I love that more than the other one?
Cookies are Chinese food, baby.
Why do I do this to myself? Like, you come up with these rules, and then you get into this thing, and you're like, what? I just did not think this through. Would I rather
I think you should go Incredicoaster. She seems to love that attraction.
Yeah. It's also almost lunchtime here, so I don't really want cookies.
Cookie num num?
Yeah, right. So I'll lean toward the sushi here. I'll take Monsters Inc. Give me the scene where we go through Harryhausen's because I have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you had every opportunity to go up.
Yeah,
and you didn't.
There was nowhere to go.
There's nowhere
I don't think I had the opportunity to go up. What else was I gonna do?
First off, I disagree. Secondly, we'll get to it. Thirdly, y'all need to have more respect for Disney California Adventure. First off, I love Chinese food. I don't know why that's such a bottom. Like, again, the dash thing is cool. I don't care what you say. The Chinese food is awesome, except that they don't sell good Chinese food in that theme park. You can go over.
Yeah, that's true.
You can go over to what's it called now? The old Pacific Wharf. Now it's San Francisco. You can get some good Asian food over there. But if you're gonna make me smell, it's like when you go to Ratatouille in Florida, which I know at least one of you hasn't done yet. I don't know if Hannah hasn't been on that yet.
I have, yeah.
But you exit into a bakery. You exit into a spot where you can go and get food because it's like right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you do that with Monsters Inc? Why aren't you emptying out into a Chinese food restaurant? I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just saying.
This all is
I'm
very
hungry.
confusing
I'm hungry.
to me.
I'm hungry.
This draft has just been the weirdest one we've done so far. Hands down.
Let me recap. We were doing great, and now we're not.
Well, we were doing great until we remember what the rules were.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, but besides the cookies and
we'll see. I still have another
Chinese
pick that
food.
I could go to California Adventure with.
I'm really trying to think in my head what other smell there is around there that could be better than those two things.
I could go to California Adventure in 5. There's some good smells. Regardless. Are we officially like stopping talking about this? Or should we just move on?
I don't have really anything to say.
That's good.
Oh, man.
So what we're saying is round 4 doesn't exist. Let's move to round 5.
No. This is my round 4.
Oh no, that's right.
Yeah,
I went first.
My round 4 is going to kick your round 4's behind, just like your round 3 did mine.
Yeah.
So let's just make it a wash. Let's go over to Disneyland because I have to. Not because I have to, but it's because I have to, because California Adventure is the better park. Regardless, to Disneyland side, effects on attractions. Pause as I think about this.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, you can.
Are you supposed to be doing each like touch, visual, smell? Are you guys supposed to?
That was kind of the thought.
Okay.
Why?
I just want to make sure I'm tracking these correctly.
I'm not even looking.
We have to make sure we incorporate each of those in our entirety of our draft.
Okay.
So
we don't have
to make sure I was tracking right.
Yeah, we don't have to hit every sense sense on every pick, but
I just discovered where you guys went wrong, but that's okay. Keep going.
I can't wait to find out later.
Yep. Well, she gonna let us know.
I made my note. Continue.
She gonna let us know. All right, round 4 for Christian. We're going to Disneyland. And I'm going to go with a newer effect that they added. It's a visual effect that they added to Peter Pan's flight. The addition of the projectors in that attraction was highly criticized when they were putting them in. And because, it's Walt's baby and, Walt did this, so we can't change it. And boy, am I in danger of saying that when Hannah's here and she says she loves the history of Walt. But adding just the little projector behind the water to make it look like a waterfall or a volcano, or my favorite, to see the kids landing on the clock tower as you're going above the clock tower. Visual stuff is my thing. It's my favorite. And so when you take an older attraction and enhance it so well, I'm taking the visual effects that were added to Peter Pan's flight in this. Eric, your face tells me either A, that shouldn't qualify as a pick, or that you just hate it.
No, I just used to work there, and I'm going to reserve my comment. That's all.
That's fair. Hannah, what do you think of the Peter Pan's flight stuff? Yes, we're back.
Peter Pan is that's the very first ride I ever did at a Disney park. At both of them, actually. And I love that ride. And yes, it is one of Walt's. It's one of the OG rides, but also Walt always says that Disneyland is never finished and you're always supposed to be expanding and making experiences better, and plussing up a ride and adding those visual effects, I personally think makes the attraction better. And because there's also a hidden Mickey on that clock tower too, and you can see all the characters on it. And then they also have like the kind of like dream sequence kind of part when you're leaving their bedroom going into outside to London. I love that effect a lot.
That attraction uses I mean, just the lights, the little, like, I mean, everything about that attraction. I love the fact that you're flying, the fact that, they use that system above you instead of below you to really make you feel like you're in a boat that's flying. I think there's some cool stuff to that. But I do think, and and I don't know if Eric's going to go this way, so he might, but I think the visuals that they've added to all of those old like the visuals that they added to Alice in Wonderland make it a more interesting attraction. It's not a bad thing to, like you said, change. Now, it could be a bad thing to change for the future, like, making the Autopia cars electric instead of just ripping them out and sending them straight down to the fiery depths they belong. And
Mr. Toad's Hall.
Mr. Toad's, get it out, even though it's one of Eric's favorites.
No, that's not what I meant. To the hell at Mr. Toad's.
She meant to send to the inferno. That's what she meant.
Yes.
Bye, Mr. Toads.
You don't say anything about Mr. Toads if you want to talk about. That is believed to be the first ride that Walt Disney ever went on at Disneyland. The first.
That's cool.
That's epic. That is an epic, most underrated ride at a Disneyland resort.
Ask your kids who Mr. Toad and Ichabod are, and if they can.
We've watched it.
We
watched it.
Well, ask an average kid, whatever. No,
that is one of the best. You cannot go to hell on any other Disney ride across the globe. Not a single one.
That's very true. Regardless,
but I do agree. Autopia sucks, and that could be totally something different over in that corner.
That was really the root of the point I was making.
Yeah.
Mr. Toad, sure, keep it. Autopia, there's the fact that they're upgrading it is, I think, the biggest waste of land.
I agree.
Get rid of the subs, and anyway, we'll talk about.
They won't get rid of the subs. They worked on the subs for like 3 years, and
I know.
Do you know that I was there the weekend that they opened the subs and water was coming in when my husband and I were in there? I was like, I will never go on this ride ever again.
Yeah.
I don't even fit in there. I try to stay away. I have to walk in there like this with my head tilted to the side because I can't stand up straight in there.
Don't use that effect.
Just the worst. Regardless.
The one that gave me scoliosis? Yeah, that's the one.
Regardless, that's round 4. And much like round 3 ended, it started pretty terrible, apparently. But I think it ended okay. And now we go to round 5. We are free of the rule of going back and forth. We can go to either park. Judging by what Eric said, I think he's going to Disneyland already. But see, Eric, your round 5.
There are so many. I have so much hope for you two. There are so many good effects.
I guarantee you I'll disappoint it. But...
There's
if you
a lot
stay
on
in
here.
DCA, probably will disappoint me.
I'm not
no,
staying.
I'm just kidding.
I'm
just
not
kidding.
But I'm not staying in DCA because my last pick has to incorporate some sort of feel, and this is something you can feel in your chest when you go on it. So I have to go with this, and it's another attraction where they plussed it up. It was a classic attraction that they kind of added to it, and I think it made it a little bit better. Like I said, you can feel it in your chest, you can see it. And I think the first time I went on it, I wasn't exactly sure it was going to happen. But I'm going to take the dynamite scene on Thunder Mountain with my final pick.
I was thinking about a Thunder Mountain pick, but the dynamite scene upgrade is so good compared to what it used to be. If it works, if it's working, that's one scene that I wish they made truly work with all the fog effects and the lighting and everything.
See, I've never seen it not work.
Really?
Me neither. I've always seen it work. Always.
I think it just hates me. Because I go on it all the time and something's not working. Whether it's the fog or like you're just getting fog and the lighting's not on, and I stop the cast member and be like, "Hey, what the heck's going on over there?"
You go more often than I do, so obviously the odds of that happening are higher. But wow, I didn't know that it had issues like that.
Yeah, well. I guess neither does our guest judge, so it's not going to matter in my opinion.
When it's working, I'll take the dynamite.
Hannah, what do you think of the dynamite scene on Thunder?
I think that scene is so impressive that as someone who I'm active duty military, my husband was, I'm the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, the granddaughter of a World War II veteran. It concerns me for fellow service members that may have PTSD. That scene is so... I think about that every single time I'm in that. I was like, this is so intense. If someone has PTSD, it could be too much.
Way to go, Eric. You're inconsiderate. That's all I got out of that.
No, they did it so well that it's like, oh, this like legitimately sounds like dynamite going off, and the smells, and it could be very much a trigger because they did that effect so well.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it's one of my favorite attractions, if not my favorite. I was thinking, and I'm not going to take it, so I can say this because you can't take anymore. I was thinking about the effect of if you just stare at the goat and what it does to your body. But I was like, does that count as a Disney effect or just kind of what happens because people have tested the limits of their body? Like I don't know if that was in the design plan or not, so I won't touch it. But no, Big Thunder Mountain, a great one. And that brings me to my 5th round pick. I was actually gonna go California Adventure, but
no, I still have something from DCA on my list. But
okay.
I mean, go with your gut. Go with your gut, Christian.
Dude, so
you could be wrong though.
You could be. There is a wrong answer here, but
you both have given wrong answers, so that's fine.
So
yeah, at least I was pigeonholed into mine. But anyway,
there's 2 that I'm thinking. One is more of a visual effects. The other one is definitely an audio sense that they've incorporated. I'm gonna go with audio because I think it is something that gets lost in how amazing it helps the attractions operate. Obviously, you have to do cool things visually because that's what people are there for, is to see things. But the audio that they incorporate into the attraction, I think is better. And so that's why I'm going to go to one of my former attractions in Disney California Adventure. I'm going to go on Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And I'm going to go with Rocket, the audio of Rocket taking you along on that attraction, whether it be when he says, "What does this button do?" And then he clicks the button and you drop, or when you go all the way up to the top, the doors open and he goes, "Disneyland, that's thematically inconsistent." And then you drop. I think that the audio of Rocket on that attraction is such a amazing effect to go along with the up and down and the craziness of Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's something that I think they lost out on when they went to Florida. For those of you who haven't been on Cosmic Rewind, spoiler alert, they don't have Rocket's voice for that attraction. It is not Bradley Cooper. And I think
it's definitely not.
I think it is a big loss. But I will say, when I was on kind of the opening team of that attraction, I was on one of the first trained attractions. That was probably most of the budget for that attraction was getting Bradley Cooper to record all the lines he did. So that's probably not most of it, but it was a big chunk. And so I don't know what the issue was for Cosmic Rewind as to why they didn't get Bradley Cooper to record that audio. But I think that audio is great on Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. As much as I hate shooting up as fast as you can on the initial launch, man, I love the dropping sensation of it. I used to not hate it as a kid, but that first, like when the doors close and Rocket goes, "Let's go," and you shoot to the top, whoo, that your boy will still grab on to anything in sight on that attraction. Eric, what do you think of Rocket's audio on Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout?
I mean, as somebody who is a fan of dry humor, obviously, he's one of my favorite characters of all time. I do love those little tidbits in there. But you could have done better.
I know you're going to say that. Moving on. Hannah, what do you think?
Hold on. I want to ask, what was the one you were wrestling with?
So I was wrestling with some serious Disney nostalgia, which you and your love of Walt. I was going to go with the Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room and the rain effect when they kill the lights and you've got that was kind of where I was thinking. But I mean, I don't know, lights and window like effects. I don't know. But I just
if those were the 2 you settled on, you made the right selection.
You know, there's just so many ways I could go here, and so those were the 2 that I was kind of thinking. So I made the right selection, at least in Eric's mind, of the last 2
I
was thinking about.
Yes,
the ones that I was thinking about.
You made the right selection.
Regardless, Hannah, what do you think? Before we go any further, what do you think of Rocket on Guardians?
I actually have never noticed him speaking ever. Like no, so
Eric, congrats on the win.
No, I mean specifically at the top. Like I've heard because you can hear like Drax being like, "Why are we thanking them? They did nothing." Like there's things that they say, but I've never noticed that like Disneyland. That's not thematically correct. Like that's amazing.
Well, and my favorite part of that is it matter.
Well, yeah. I mean, it matters.
It just changes.
Who's in the the gantry lift with you, right? If everybody's screaming, you're not going to hear
it. Yeah, and that's the thing. People are always screaming at the top.
No.
But it's such a good point because that's my biggest qualm with Cosmic Rewind is that that's not Bradley Cooper doing Rocket, and it almost like cheapens the experience a little
bit
because it's so obviously not him. That it's like, come on, like you got Chris Pratt, the guy that plays Drax and Gamora, like we got everyone else, but we couldn't get like the main storyline for like the later like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It was pretty much Rocket, like why wouldn't we include that for so no, I really like that because now that's something that I can really like focus on paying attention to because it hasn't been till recently that I realized like, oh, even with the songs changing and the drop sequence changing, I was realizing the scenes are also different. And so now I can listen and be like, oh, Rocket's saying something different too. So I really love that actually.
Yeah, there's times where the doors open, he goes, is that Disneyland? And then you drop or something like that. Like it's just they did a very good job of acknowledging the fact that Disneyland's out there, but but also making fun of all of the Disney fans when they first did this, going, "Oh, that doesn't work. It's Guardians. That's not Disney." And so when he says Disneyland, that's thematically inconsistent. They're just making fun of everybody that was pissed off about it. I love that kind of stuff. The Imagineers thought about it through, and so it was a good one. Okay, Eric's going to get the lists racked up, but before we do that, Hannah, what are some of your favorite? Because clearly there were a lot. What are some of your favorite effects that we did not get in this one?
Okay, well, actually, I liked Eric hit actually like a lot of the one. Eric, you're just like so short from like my favorite like effects. So like in Haunted Mansion, I would have chosen like Leota's head, like not bobbing around, but she floats, and it wasn't until like I was broken down on the ride until I was actually able to figure out how they're able to do that. I think that's so incredible. And then there's like the obvious one that I'm glad you guys didn't say is Hatbox Ghost. Like that's amazing. That was the first of its kind too. Simplicity, the silly mirror trick on Pirates of the Caribbean with the half skeleton and the half face, I think is just like so clever and so just simple. And it's still, people to this date, maybe I ruined the magic for someone right now, but like it's just a mirror. Like that's how they did it. They just put a mirror in between the guy. And it wasn't until my husband pointed out to me like 5 visits ago that I was like, how did I not notice that? The whole time I was just like, what is this?
Remember how I told Christian that Soren was like my first backup pick just in case?
Yeah.
That effect from Pirates was my second backup.
It's a good one.
It's such a good one. It's such a good one. And then Rise, my favorite effect in Rise is when the lightsaber comes through the ceiling.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's sick.
I like every time I've ridden that ride 20, 30, 40 times, and every time I know it's coming, I'm just like, it's happening. Like it's coming. I love that one. And then for smell, can I like just dive into everything right now?
Absolutely.
Okay. You guys pigeonholed yourself by only thinking about smells in DCA, because there's smells in all over the place in Disneyland. And I think one of the coolest ones is in Snow White. You can smell the pie in the beginning and then also the woods at the end. So it's just like this perfect, like total like experience where you're just like in the scene. And I really love that.
Don't worry, Hannah. Neither of us worked on that attraction, so we wouldn't know. Oh, wait. One of us did. I'll just leave that there. You never... You didn't work on Snow White?
I did, but not this one.
Oh, was the pie not there? Oh,
it was not done. The new version of it was not done when I was there.
Oh, yeah, because it was the scary forest or whatever it was before.
Still, Eric's Fantasyland crew still get mad at him for it. Because
I get yelled at all the time when I don't take Fantasyland stuff. I get all my friends are like, "Why didn't you?"
That's so funny. You didn't take a single Fantasyland thing.
All right,
you took two Monsters Inc. things. Fantasyland things.
This is a 4-on-4 draft now. Forget 5-on-5.
And then I love the Animation Academy. I don't think anyone's ever experiencing when you walk in that like there's scenes on the ceiling, on every single screen, and then on the walls behind the screen. I think that's so visually like we literally, sorry, this might make people cringe. The hoods, we'll go and lay down on the floor at Animation Academy just to like experience it all. That's one of our favorite rest stops, is just to like sit and chill and like notice new things. It plays the same scene over and over, but depending on which wall you're looking at, if you're looking at the ceiling or if you're standing, you see different stuff. And I think it's just incredible.
Right.
The air conditioning in that building, only second to my former home of Innoventions, now whatever Star Wars Launch Bay, DC, DVC, whatever. But boy, if you need air conditioning, you walk into the animation building, and especially you go into Turtle Talk with Crush. Holy smokes, they keep it like 30 degrees in there. They want you to feel like you're on the bottom of the seafloor.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that. And I thought for sure, I was like, oh, that's the easiest visual, like just artwork. I think I was surprised that Animation Academy wasn't on your guys' list.
You know, it's one of those
thought about it.
I won't talk to Eric if he thought about it. I
thought about it.
I didn't even think about a walk-through attraction like that has that. I was thinking more jump on a ride and do something. So, but no, it's a great effect of just walking in, and boy, listen, I work in the audio and visual department. To make all of that work, to have all of those projectors working at all times, that a lot of stuff has to go right in that building, and they do it for the most part all of the time. And when it's not right, they fix it, and they've, listen, Animation Academy, as much as I love it, as much as us Disney people love it, there's a lot of things that you could put in that building that are big e-ticket attractions. You could fit a roller coaster inside that building, but they don't, and they leave it, and it's good. It's so good. So, and it's great for kids. It's great for adults. Some of us love it as well. All right, Eric, you want to run down our lists, and we'll see if the people at home are following along, and we'll can't wait to hear all their opinions about this one.
All right, I had first pick in this one. I went Haunted Mansion, The Pepper's Ghost Effect at number 1. I went with The Door Room and Monsters, Inc. at number 2. Rise of the Resistance Holding Cell, number 3. Went back to Monsters, Inc. for some reason for Harryhausen's with the smell effect. Number 5 took the Thunder Mountain Dynamite scene. Christian took the Sense over at Soarin' at number 1. The Boulder Room at Indiana Jones at number 2. Dash Skipping Across the Water at Incredicoaster at number 3. Peter Pan's Flight Projections at number 4. And Rocket's Audio at Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And Hannah, we turn it over to you. Who won this episode of Drafting the Magic?
This is actually crazy close.
The fact that he might win on a 2 Monsters Inc. selection, it's just it's just the way it works. This show is fun.
No, Christian, I think you win.
Hey,
I'm sorry, Eric. You were so close. You were so close, but I do not like the Monsters Inc. ride. I don't either.
I don't either.
Christian's disappeared from.
I just dropped off the pod. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I dropped dead because I won.
So close. You were so close, Eric. You had all of like my favorite one. Well, besides Monsters Inc. Well, good. You were right there, Eric. I was hoping for you. As soon as you chose Haunted Mansion first, I was like, oh, he's a man after my own heart. And then
I got
Monsters
stuck.
Inc. twice.
I got stuck.
That rule, Eric. You always pigeon yourself with the rule.
With the rule that I came up with. It happens every time.
Every single time.
Christian, you almost lost it with that Incredicoaster pick.
I'm just saying, I won this draft because it's official. We can't turn it around.
You won it.
I won this draft with number 1, the Indiana Jones pick, which you didn't even know happened.
No.
And number 2, the Rocket pick, which you didn't even know happened. I'm just saying that same thing happened a couple of episodes ago with the Hidden Gems. They didn't know about it, and then I won. So I'll take it.
Yeah, and I think for me, I love learning new things. I feel like I'm so immersed in Disney facts that if there's something new I haven't learned, you've got me.
Love it. Well, Hannah, before you go, tell us again, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody listen to the pod? Everything else.
You can find me on Instagram at Hannah Learning the Magic, and that's the name of our podcast as well as Learning the Magic Podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to the podcast. Eric, you look like you're mad at me. I hope you're not mad at me. Let's still be friends.
Still good. I'm mad at myself.
I was like, as long as Eric's not mad at me, thank you so much for having me on.
As long as if Christian was mad at you, whatever. But
well, you won. You have no reason to be mad at me.
That's true. But seriously, thank you so much, Hannah. It has been a delight to have you, and thanks for being a fan of the pod. We're going to listen to your pod, and hopefully, you never know, we might show up on your pod, maybe teach some new Disney things there.
I would love that. Please. I'm going to get you guys scheduled as soon as we get off this, actually.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Done.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I enjoyed it. That was so much fun.
No, thank you for being here. Yeah, this was awesome. This was definitely one of the more wild ones we've ever done.
It was it was the whole the sense, I think, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. That really threw me through a loop.
Well, all right, you got your W there, pal. You can at least make the score look a little bit more respectable here as we wrap up season 2.
This is one of those where I still can't believe I won.
We get one every now and again where
you're just like, really?
I mean, I wasn't feeling great about it, but I mean, I thought I had it. So
I think your guys' take, and I'll tell Hannah, I think your guys' take on the dash sequence is just ridiculous. Like, it's not that bad.
That's another one where I don't know that it works all the time, does it?
Maybe not. I don't know.
The water
definitely,
cannons, at least.
It definitely works better at night with the lighting too. You know, that's
one
thing
that
if you're there during the day, it's not nearly as good of an effect.
Did you have anything else you were thinking of for your list?
So I was, and we did talk to Hannah after, the way that we tell everybody that we do talk to Hannah in between us doing our outro and not. And it turns out she liked the idea, so I should have done it. But when you go backwards on the Little Mermaid ride and you go backwards into the water and they blast you with the air conditioning and the bubbles on the side and the bubble projection on the shell in front of you, I think that's a really cool effect for an attraction that needs cool effects because they don't work on Ariel and fix her eyes from crossing and all the other things that go wrong on that attraction. But the other ones I think about, and again, dare I ever talk about the subs in a positive light, but I think the way that when you go underwater on the subs, that just the things that they do, the projection system they use in the subs is not terrible. Now, I'm not saying it should be around anymore. I think it should be gone. But, I think that's an interesting effect. We mentioned that the Tiki Room was an option because there's a lot of cool effects in there. I was trying to think of something for Pirates, but I hate the fire effect in Pirates because I wish it was real fire.
Oh,
I feel like
blankets.
I feel like the Walt Disney Company has come to the point where we could probably do real fire if they invested some money into it. But what about you? What are some of the ones you left off to the list?
The two biggest ones, I think. One is, I'm big on guest interaction, right? I think the Rebel Spy concept on Star Tours is really cool.
Sure.
To get people involved. To put it simply, I think one of the big ones we didn't put, and I had it on my list, is the room change on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
I was thinking about Mickey and Minnie's. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you go over the ledge with the waterfall and then you turn around and come back. And the first time I went on that, I legitimately thought we went to a different room. Mm-hmm. Because the changed over, the entire room was different. I think that one's pretty impressive. I think this one might be more of for fans who have gone to both coasts, on Guardians. Now, I went to DCA first. So had you gone to Florida first and done Tower of Terror there, and then come here and done Tower of Terror when it was still Tower, or even now, doesn't matter. But when the lift goes back to start, because it doesn't do that in Florida.
Sure.
Right. I like the first time I went on that, I did not expect that at all. I thought we were going up. Mm-hmm. And then for it to back away from the door like that, I think is pretty unique. But I didn't think it was big enough of a effect to put on the list.
My favorite part of the whole reasoning behind that was when they were talking. I don't know if you know the story or not, but it's definitely something they told us in training and stuff when we worked. And I could say that because I don't work there. That was one of the first things they did when they were talking about trying to bring California Adventure, the Tower of Terror, was, okay, what breaks the most in Florida? And it was the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is the biggest problem. And so they were trying to figure out a way to do the attraction without that massive moving around, but also keep the guest flow. And that is how you can load on both levels, is because you go back into your cabin,
to get away
up and down. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the top floor, if you got loaded on the bottom, as you're riding, they're loading. or unloading, and back and forth. And the whole idea behind it was they were, I believe, backstage at Disney California Adventure, and they saw, or Disney's California Adventure back in the day, and they saw a trash truck take the spikes, put it in, and lift the trash bin. And wait a second, what if we had that same kind of thing where something goes and lifts apart and goes up and down, and then retracts and goes and gets something else? And so, there's just the way that they do the attractions. And those, I was really thinking about, you mentioned Mickey and Minnie's, not even that scene, but even the scene at the very end where Mickey and Minnie are about to get smashed, or Mickey's about to get smashed. Minnie saves him. And then the projections just completely change the scene from this random massive factory to a peaceful park. And and then you go into the other room. But it's just, they do such a good job of all that stuff. This was a good episode, but a lot of stuff left on the table in this one.
Let me ask you this, on Guardians. So if you load on the lower level, do you drop further?
There's a couple of tiny differences like that.
Okay.
Like for instance,
I was just curious.
And again, for everybody that to ruin all of this, all of the show scenes where you see Rocket and and the whole gang, that's all the exact same level. The exact same level, except for one of the shafts. It is actually on a different level. So isn't that interesting? But you can do that. But in Tower of Terror, you had the one scene where it looked like you kept going, and then you had the other scene where you saw the little girl drop, or whatever that was. But there's only two. There's only two levels where you can actually see stuff on that attraction. But they do such a great job of blending it and making it not feel that way.
And just again, this will be my final disclaimer of the day. This is not stuff you can't easily Google. You can find it on the internet. You're not dropping any proprietary information.
Yeah, nothing.
People know.
I would never. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Eric, another episode down. This has been a good one, and we are rapidly approaching our final episode of the season. That's next time.
One more, and that'll be the last time people will have the luxury of not seeing our faces.
I mean, they might choose to not see our faces. They might choose to only listen to it.
They're going to accidentally come across it at some point. Yeah.
We're getting to a visual point. We're getting to another cool point, Eric. We're going to introduce speak pipes, and this is something that I saw on another podcast. I will give the Good Guys podcast a shout out. They did great stuff over there. It's Josh Peck and one of his friends. Josh from Drake and Josh and all that kind of stuff, and some other documentaries that have recently come out. Anyway, I broke Eric. I'll take it. Anyway, but they do a thing called speak pipe, and we're going to give you the opportunity basically call in and leave us a voicemail, and you might hear yourself on air or on our podcast. So all you have to do is go to speakpipe.com, speakpipe.com/draftingthemagic, and then you'll get a really cool thing that just says send a voice message to Drafting the Magic. We want to hear your hot takes about the show. We want to hear your hot takes about maybe some recent Disney news. Eric, this is going to give us an opportunity to really interact with the fans, not just on Instagram, but really kind of get their voice and, let it be heard.
Yeah, you might see it on YouTube. You never know.
You might.
You never know. So we'll chat about all things Disney, and you want to call in and rip us about our picks and what you would have done, please do so. Because
welcome to the club.
We love a good banter on here, as you heard today. This seriously was the weirdest show we've done so far. What a roller coaster of a ride it was.
But I won.
Yeah, but you won. What's
Regardless,
the count now? What am I up by, like 4 with 1 to go?
I don't know. I barely know how many shows we've done.
I know. Well, the next one will be 40, and that's our magical.
And then we can, Then we maybe, you'll have season 1, or you'll have season 2. I had season 1. Then we'll just move on into the future of video. But before we do that, like the podcast, rate and review. Find us on Instagram and X and Facebook and all the things. Honestly, if you write a review, we will read it.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's bashing us, we might read it twice. We might read it twice. Yeah, we want to hear from y'all. It honestly helps us as well to grow this podcast. And Eric and I mentioned it off air. our community is growing to the point where some of our guest judges know each other, and we're building this little Drafting the Magic community, and we want you to be on board with it. But you got to like and rate and review the podcast. You got to get us on social media. We're going to try to do some more social media stuff. I promise, because we've been kind of dead on that. But we got a lot of cool stuff coming down the line, Eric.
I can't wait for it, man. Big things are happening.
Big things.